The YouTube commentary community is a large and vast one. From the TikTok controversies and true crime fanatics, gaming commentary community to the art commentary community, criticism and critique is arguably one of the biggest parts of what makes YouTube an interesting platform. Hearing people's takes on controversial topics and learning about situations to form your own opinion is really fun, and is one of the main reasons I started a YouTube channel of my own. I liked coming to educated conclusions about situations, explaining the ins and outs on topics I cared about, and learning to be more fair and reasonable in my critiques. But the one thing that has consistently bothered me about the commentary community on YouTube is how oftentimes nuance about what really counts as something worthy of critique has been lost on many channels. And the ability to distinguish between what is considered drama and what is considered serious, traumatic, and personal has been tossed to the wayside. Hi guys, gals, gays, and envays, it's Omnia, and today in this video I want to examine what I consider to be the commentary community's biggest flaw. The many examples of it happening both in the past few years and more recently, and the simple ways commentary channels can learn to correct this behavior in the future. That being the mishandling of serious, abusive, or traumatic situations for the purpose of entertainment, drama, and financial gain. Firstly, I think it's important to distinguish the differences between trauma and drama, which may seem obvious to most people, but is obviously something that certain commentary channels and individuals who spend a lot of time on the internet struggle with. So I thought it necessary to include a very quick formal explanation for those of you who need a reminder or would like to learn a little bit more about what typically counts as traumatic and what typically counts as dramatic. Without further ado, here's my very speedy language lesson. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Hopefully you don't mind that the camera's changed. The lighting in my room keeps changing, so I just decided to use a different camera for today. And also, I hope you enjoy Gabby in the background. It looks like she just wanted to take a nap next to sleeping Kirby, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of reprieve during this kind of rough video, because I know that I'm kind of struggling getting this video together and motivating myself to do it because it is a pretty heavy topic. So hopefully Gabby in the background can help you, take a break and look at a cute cat sleeping next to a Kirby plush. But today, in this clip, we're gonna go through the differences between drama and trauma. I know for most people that is a pretty obvious distinction. Most people know the differences between the two words. However, as a person who has been running a commentary channel for about 2 years now, and someone who has a semi-active Twitter account, I can guarantee you that most people on the internet don't really know the main differences between the two, and so I thought it would be relevant to make a really quick video to go through the definitions and make a really quick distinction between the two, because it might help unblur that line for people who do struggle with figuring out the differences between trauma and drama. So let's just get started. When you search up trauma on Google, this is what comes up. A deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Emotional shock following a stressful event or a physical injury, which may be associated with physical shock and sometimes leads to long-term neurosis. Physical injury. When you search up drama on Google, this is what the definition is. A play for theater, radio, or television. An exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or set of circumstances. When you look at the second definition of drama, you can kind of see that there is a little bit of similarity, right? It's a exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or sets of circumstances. And that's kind of similar to trauma, right? But I would say the main and easy litmus test between trauma and drama is severity, intensity. Always look at how severe or intense that event is. And there tends to be other symptoms of trauma more so than there is of drama. And that tends to show up somatically. So what I mean by that is that when something traumatic happens to someone, that tends to show up in their body or the way that they behave. So with someone who has experienced a traumatic event, they may get diagnosed with PTSD, they may need increased therapy or medication. Sometimes they have changes in behavior, like somatic changes, for example, weight loss or weight gain. Sometimes they have a lot of nightmares or hallucinations, they can have insomnia, stuff like that. That is often a sign of trauma. Whereas with drama, there tends to be a lot less physical symptoms, though there can be, right? There's just tends to be less intensity, less severity, and that's why I say when you want to distinguish between trauma and drama, the easiest way is to run a litmus test about how severe it is. So with trauma, it tends to be abuse, threats of violence, death, things like that. Whereas with drama, those tend to be pretty lukewarm experiences that a lot of people go through. For example, having a falling out with a friend, or getting a bad grade, or arguing with your parents, or getting offended over something that someone said online. That typically is drama. If you don't think it is something that someone could get PTSD over, that doesn't tend to be something that can fall into trauma. Most of the time, the way that I distinguish the two is it something that happens on any odd given day, right? Does a loved one die any odd given day? Does someone get harassed and stalked and abused on any odd given day? Does someone fear for their life on any odd given day? No. That would justifiably go into the trauma bucket, whereas with drama, it tends to be something that can happen on any odd given day. If you have a falling out with a friend group, have an argument with your parents, have any other little thing that happens and it's just sort of an inconvenience, you can still have a negative reaction to it. Sometimes you can even have somatic symptoms of drama, but that doesn't tend to last as long or be as life-changing as someone who went through a traumatic event. That's mainly the two differences. It's that easy. If you want to make it very clear, look at severity, look at intensity, look at somatic symptoms. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully that will kind of prep you for the situations that I want to talk about in the next half of this video. So yeah, if you have any questions regarding trauma versus drama, just leave them in the comment section down below and I'll help. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the rest of the video. Hopefully that made some semblance of sense and helps those of you who struggle with understanding the similarities and differences between those two terms. Obviously, that explanation isn't the end-all be-all for distinguishing traumatic events from dramatic ones, but I would say it is a good general rule of thumb. Now that we understand the overarching distinction between trauma and drama, next, I wanted to ask my audience if they could recall any specific situations in which YouTubers and content creators mishandled an individual's trauma by treating it as dramatic and entertaining. Of course, before we get into these replies, I wanted to add a quick trigger warning for mentions of death, abuse, and other triggering or traumatic events. Also, a quick shameless plug: if you would like the chance to have your answers featured on any future videos, be sure to follow my Nia X Mini Twitter. The link is in my description below. I often ask my audience for their input on a lot of different things on there and include them in future videos, so if you would like a chance for your reply to be seen in my video, definitely shoot me a follow there. But for this video, I asked, do you recall an example, either recently or years ago, where YouTubers/content creators mishandled a serious, abusive, or traumatic situation and treated it like drama or entertainment? How so, or in what way? Here's what some of you said. Thuman said, an instance I remember is some milking the passing of Technoblade and regarding it as drama. Another case would be Emily Artful's situation, where there was a serious allegation that wasn't handled with care by some. A third one would be the Gabby Hanna and Bianca Devin situation. Iris said, the entire Birdie thing back in 2018 and 2019, to be honest. Fox said, yes, the Onision and Davi Vanity situations. Shiva said, "Has anyone mentioned the time Logan Paul went into the Japanese suicide forest and filmed a dead body? They acted like kids in a jump scare house. The police had to tell them the forest was off limits." Cyrus said, "The Sashley situation comes to mind, especially since they were blamed for being a child in an allegedly predatory relationship with an adult. The art community has a very big victim blaming issue." Mosh said, "Pretty much anything having to do with Chris Chan." Hariana said, "Sam Pepper when he pranked his friend that he was K-worded or something like that." Mothi said, "There was this Gabby Hanna situation where she turned herself into an e-girl or some other style and she showed a picture of a dead girl in her video without noticing, and then a lot of people made videos about it and turned that into a drama." Kay said, "The entirety of the Amber versus Johnny trial. So many people memed it and acted as if it was a new episode of Euphoria and even made clip compilations." Kai Juno said, "I feel like the Gabby Petito case was absolutely mishandled." Alex said, "The Pro Jared stuff back in 2019, people were treating it more like a cheating drama rather than grooming and CSA allegations." M4 Hall said, "Any true crime makeup or mukbang channel." Ozzy said, "Someone mentioned the Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp trial thing and I gotta agree. People treated that shit like it was a TV show and it was disgusting." Those were just some of the responses I decided to include in this video, but there were over 80 responses between the replies and quote tweets, so if you would like to see more or add your own response, definitely head on over to my Twitter account, but I think it's very obvious that just thinking about it at the top of your head, you can find a handful of instances where YouTubers and content creators demonstrated the fact that they don't know the simple distinction between what should be considered drama and what should be considered trauma. Or if they are aware that a situation is triggering or traumatic, sometimes that doesn't translate into the content they make surrounding said situation. Don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not saying that content creators should completely stop talking about traumatic events if those most affected are okay with their situation being talked about and spread. But I am saying that there definitely needs to be more care and sensitivity put into said coverage. Content creators shouldn't be barred from speaking about sensitive topics, they just need to be more aware of how their coverage may actually harm the victims in traumatic situations or hinder the cause they are trying to bring awareness to. Judging by the amount of responses this question got, I think it's fairly obvious that not enough content creators are critical of themselves or how their content may actually be a detriment to those who suffer as a result of these events. It's definitely an extremely large problem that is evident in all parts of the YouTube community, whether it's true crime, the beauty community, commentary, or even vlogging. This is mainly what led me to consider 3 major examples of how trauma was mishandled and turned into drama, each at varying popularity levels, and demonstrates different problems that are pervasive in the YouTube commentary scene. The first situation I want to talk about is Creepshow Art and Emily Artful. I have a lot I want to say about this one since it does hit close to home, but I'll try and keep this as condensed as possible. If you aren't aware of what the Creepshow Art situation is, who Emily Artful is, or how she plays into any of this, I highly recommend you start by watching my Creepshow Art series, which is linked in the description below. My series does a pretty good job at summarizing everything that had happened in that situation and gives a broad summation of all the events. But for those who need a very quick reminder, Creepshow Art was a large art commentary channel that was outed as being a two-faced, backstabbing liar because she would secretly talk crap about her friends on a gossip forum, that being lolcow.farm. After she was outed for her post on lolcow, she attempted to deflect blame onto a person she calls Amy, who she stated stalked and harassed her for 8 years. However, it was later found out that it was pretty much impossible for her posts to have been made from anyone who spoofed her IP because there were multiple IPs and cookies that linked every post together. In an unexpected turn of events, an art YouTuber named Emily Artful then came out with her own story regarding Creepshow Art and her husband, Anthony Parker, which was Emily Artful's abusive ex-boyfriend. Emily made a 2-hour-long video detailing Creepshow Art and her husband's stalking and harassment campaign, which lasted a better part of a decade. There were points in Emily's video where she became choked up just recalling the events that had happened to her and clearly was very, very distressed. However, some people looked at her situation for pure entertainment. This was most easily seen when Creepshow Art returned to YouTube on December 31st, 2021 with a 2-hour and 30-minute long video of her own where she attempted to debunk Emily's claims. This video wasn't received too well by the community and was quickly refuted by Emily herself. But when that video first dropped, of course, there was a frenzy on Twitter. One person in particular, who I will not name, for their own sake, since this is quite an embarrassing take, stated, "Honestly, Kai Weiss was just Diet Creepshow art. This is the real shit. We're back, baby. We're back, baby. Let's go re-traumatize victims. Let's go." And when someone offered some slight pushback, this absolute pinnacle of human morality stated, "LOL, I mean, in terms of drama we are invested in as viewers." Behold, the most based take of the century. I think it's very obvious that Emily Artful, as a victim of this alleged stalking and harassment at the hands of Creepshow Art and her husband, was not very enthralled to find out that she had returned to YouTube and not only was leaking increasingly private information about her, but was also accusing her of defamation, all the while doxing her full legal name, which absolutely no one had asked for, and exposing pictures of her family, children, and ex-boyfriends from literally 2006. So, pardon me for saying that Emily likely did not take kindly to such a sentiment, nor does anyone who has come forward about a traumatic event. Like I've stated previously, there is a very obvious line between what can be considered drama and what can be considered trauma. Someone allegedly being harassed and stalked for a better part of a decade is not entertaining or a drama you should be quote-unquote invested in as a viewer. You should be interested in Emily's allegations because her safety matters as well as her well-being, and it's important to advocate and bolster her voice, not have a fun moment knowing Emily's alleged abusers are lying about her and attempting to accuse her of defamation. With that being said, the second situation I want to talk about is in regards to Technoblade. I'd like to keep Technoblade's section relatively short because this is, in a way, an ongoing situation as it's happened very recently, and as someone who hasn't been close to him or watched his content regularly, I don't want to take up more space than I should, but I do think this situation is important to highlight and just another example of how certain YouTubers and content creators will stop at nothing to get a quick buck. Technoblade was a very well-loved, funny, and charismatic Minecraft YouTuber who was a member of the Minecraft server DreamSMP. On August 27th, 2021, Technoblade uploaded a video titled Where I've Been, where he revealed that he had been diagnosed with cancer after feeling some intense pain and swelling in his right arm. Unfortunately, just 2 weeks ago, on June 30th, 2022, a video posted by his family to his YouTube channel titled So Long Nerds revealed that he had died after his battle with sarcoma. He had over 10 million subscribers on his YouTube channel at the time of his passing. Millions of his dedicated fans grieved his death, and those who were his close friends and even acquaintances paid tribute to him in videos and on social media. It has been a very heartbreaking situation to be an onlooker to say the least. Even though I haven't watched his content like that, I can tell that he was beloved by many, and it was a loss that no one had expected nor anticipated. But of course, as is a common theme with the situations I've been covering, some people have absolutely no semblance of respect, morality, or common decency when it comes to the grief and trauma of others. One obvious example is the YouTuber Brazo, who has made countless videos on Technoblade, his death, and his cancer. People began accusing him of milking Technoblade's illness and eventual death, so to combat this, he claimed he would donate $3,000 to Technoblade's charity. This video has since been deleted, so obviously that points to something being wrong. You see, some people noticed something really fishy about his donation video. Here are 2 clips from the YouTubers Kat and Lonza explaining it.
So I've been looking into this Technoblade milking situation, and this video by Brazo where he donated $3,000 to the charity, all the money he apparently made off of his multiple YouTube videos milking his death. Take a good look at that $3,000 right there. Tell me if you guys notice that there's something weird going on.
We're gonna donate $3,000. Let's click I'm not a robot. Yeah, let's just get it over with. Let's see this process.
I'm sure you guys saw that right there. If y'all didn't notice, let me go back a bit. You see how it has the comma under the 3,000?
Not a robot.
You see that? That's the real 3,000. He actually put 3,000 in the computer. But, hold up.
Yeah, let's just
You see in the little jump cut, the comma is gone. So this motherfucker inspect elemented to make it look like $3,000 when he probably sent in $1. He thought he was sneaky, bruh. He was trying to be a sneaky son of a bitch. But I saw this when I saw this video, and I knew I couldn't let this dude try to get away with it.
Yeah, we're gonna donate $3,000. Let's click I'm not a robot. Yeah, let's just get it over with. $3,000. Let's click I'm not a robot. Yeah, let's just get it over with.
Okay, so basically what he did was type in 3,000 and then it shows donate $3,000 with a comma, and then he actually cuts the video before he donates. And what he actually cuts out is basically he changes the amount to something lower, and then he used inspect element and then changed the amount to 3,000, but he forgot to add the comma, meaning it looked like this. Literally side by side, my screen looks exactly like his screen. But this is obviously fake, because if you actually type in 3,000, it looks like this with a comma, meaning that is undeniable proof that he faked his donation.
Brazo later went on to confirm that he faked the donation and deleted the video. The least I can say is that it is extremely disappointing, but at the very least he was honest about it and didn't try to weasel himself out of it. Regardless, it's still incredibly shady and underhanded behavior. Furthermore, a recent Twitter account called Technoblade NFTs opened up with, you guessed it, a Technoblade NFT. The post reads, "The tragic moment Technoblade's heart stopped is now forever captured on the blockchain. Relive this event with the new Technoblades Flatline Edition, available now on OpenSea." I swear to God, if anyone made an NFT of me after I passed away, I would not know rest. I would just be tossing and turning in my grave for all of eternity. Holy fucking shit. Thankfully, Twitter suspended the account and I haven't heard of anything new since, but this just goes to show the heaps and bounds certain people, content creators or Twitter users alike, will go to just to make a buck off of somebody else's tragedy and misfortune. It truly does make you wonder if people even possess the common human ability to empathize with one another anymore, or if we just use each other as stepladders to get more fame, money, or attention. That brings me to the last situation I want to talk about, which has to do with the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. I'm just gonna come out and say it, I very much dislike this trial. Everyone on social media talking about it so frivolously and without regard at the height of the trial truly made me feel sick to my stomach, and as someone who has trauma of my own regarding topics that were frequently talked about within the trial, I was deeply triggered by a majority of the bullshit coming out about it. I don't want to give the details of the trial any runtime, since I'll be very forward and honest about this, I didn't even watch it. I physically could not. Those who know what happened to me last December understand why, and those who don't, that's okay too. You don't need to. I say this to be transparent. I can't, nor do I want to speak on the fine details of the case. However, what I will say is the amount of coverage regarding the court proceedings were completely unnecessary and overwhelmingly saturated with clip compilations like Johnny Depp owning Amber Heard, the moment Amber Heard knew she fucked up in court, and even TikTok sounds mocking Amber's alleged sexual assault. Of course, before I play this clip, trigger warning for those who have trauma associated with SA, but here are just a few examples of TikToks mocking her retelling of her essay.
My breasts, he's touching my thighs, he rips my underwear off, and then he's like grabbing my breasts, he's touching my thighs, he rips my underwear off, and then he's like grabbing my breasts, he's touching my thighs, he rips my underwear off, and then he's like grabbing my breasts, he's grabbing my breasts, he's touching my thighs, he rips my underwear off, and then
literally the captions on some of these TikToks are even more harrowing, with them asking Amber why she didn't thank him. Like, if she didn't consent to it, then she didn't want any of that to happen to her. So why would she thank him? It's insane. Shit like this is what makes the case so diabolical and why I avoid the trial like the plague. What's worse is that this behavior is not just on TikTok or other social media platforms. If you wanted, you could find some of the biggest names known on YouTube and find videos and clips of them mocking Amber Heard's testimony. Even individuals who have very little to do with the commentary community like Jacksepticeye or PewDiePie.
No, my dog stepped on a bee. We took him to the vet.
I actually managed to squeeze out a tear. You see, that's how it's done. That's how you actually cry. You believe in the things you're saying.
Next meme involves private information, trauma, physical and emotional abuse. But I just hate this bitch so much that it's worth memeing. Amber Heard, also known as Amber Turd. She speaks exactly how people do when you reverse something like too many times and you start going like, so like, I think what the thing about the thing is like, I just am speaking like I haven't thought about this at all. Anyway, guys. I mean, obviously I'm not like, you should probably think about what you're gonna say in a trial, but it's so bizarre. Like, what the fuck is she doing with her face?
My dog.
This is an actress?
We went to the vet and went on.
She just shows she's like the worst actress of all time. My dog stepped on a bee. Oh yeah? Yeah, but Amber makes those kind of faces. Have you seen it? Have you seen the trial where she's just like all of a sudden?
I just seen the memes.
Where you're missing. Well, that's why you're such a fence sitter, dude. If you've seen, you know, like unequivocally, she's insane, dude.
My dog stepped on a bee.
My child spilled my tea.
Jimmy Savile shagged me.
She keeps making these faces.
She's an actress, Felix, an actress. You wouldn't understand.
You're not supposed to act in court. You're supposed to tell the truth. And she's a lousy goddamn actress for that matter. God damn. Dude, my dog stepped on a bee. Yeah, I feel bad for her lawyers that have to like retell her lies as if they're truth. It's really funny.
Oh,
because everyone just sounds insane. Justice for Johnny has been going on for a long time, I remember. I'm really glad everyone is showing him support. It's so obvious just basing on his character that he's a good guy, and watching everything that's come out of this trial so far has only been in his favor. I feel like you could easily get swept up with people being charming but still being bad people.
Now, I understand that some people see celebrities and automatically think that their life is one big drama and everyone is entitled to commentate on their private business, but as popular content creators themselves, I feel like Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie would know better than anyone about how uncomfortable it is for people to try and pry into your life more than you're comfortable sharing. Speaking from my own personal experience, I know that I'm at the very least deeply discomforted when it happens to me. And I know that people will say, hey, that's the trade-off that comes with being famous or making money by being in the public eye. And I understand that and agree with that to a certain extent, but once your viewers or fans begin to undermine your boundaries and attempt to subvert them, treating your desire to keep private about certain things as an inconvenience and feeling entitled to you, that's where shit like this becomes dangerous and you're no longer seen as a whole or complete person, but just a thing that people gawk at and derive entertainment from. All I can say is that being a public figure is not for the faint of heart, and the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial illustrated that to me more than most deplorable things I've seen on the internet. And now that finally brings me to my conclusion. All three situations that I had detailed happened within the past year, each with their own set of problems at varying intensities, even at their own set of varying popularities. But somehow, one thing always remains consistent. Why is it that we as commentators or viewers or just people who are members of society feel like this is okay to do? Why aren't we able to differentiate when something is too sensitive to talk about without any semblance of regard? Why do we think that this behavior is okay or that we are entitled to act in this way? Throughout the making of this video, I've been thinking really hard about those questions. I've considered that it might be because of the news and how we're constantly bombarded by terrible things happening all the time. Maybe it's because we're in the middle of a pandemic and have been for nearly 2 years now. Maybe we've forgotten how to act or be empathetic to the misfortunes of others after shifting to remote work and school. Maybe it's because our constant doom scrolling has made us so accustomed to hearing about awful things that we just cope with it through dark humor. Maybe we're just bored. Maybe through all the screens and the separation that we feel, it's just easier to treat everyone and everything we see online and through media as just another device meant to entertain us and distract us from whatever it is we are trying to avoid in our own lives. I still don't have an answer, and maybe it's none of those things or all of those things. Maybe it's some of those things. I have no idea. But one thing I know for sure is that regardless of how we slice it or how we feel or what we are escaping from in our own inner worlds, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, we are hurting other people, causing other people pain, and damaging another person's inner world. And whether we want to admit to it or not, we can't continue to treat someone else's pain and misfortune as something to make us feel less miserable about ourselves. I don't know what the exact solution is. I wish I could give you the end-all be-all solution for fixing this growing problem in the commentary community and frankly just in the world, but I can't provide that. I wish it was as easy as saying, educate yourself more, or learn how to be more empathetic, or put yourself in their shoes and think about how you would feel. I wish it was as easy as saying, be more sensitive, or stop treating people you see online as if their sole purpose is to entertain you, but I know that it's much easier said than done. So I wanted to extend the question to you. Yes, you listening. What do you think needs to change for people, both in the YouTube commentary community and beyond, to be more aware and distinguish between trauma and drama? Do we need to name and shame more often to get content creators to be more cognizant of how they are downplaying someone else's trauma? Or do you think there's a more empathetic route? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd really love to know your thoughts, suggestions, and solutions. Until next time, that's all from me. Thank you, as always, to all of my current patrons: Glitchy Garbage, Rare T, Verlangen Lote Comics, Flavia Lee, Paw Nerd, Sarah, Maisie K, Chuli, Galaxy Brain, Maka Baka Cosplay, Campaign 2002, The Biophone, Rachel Krengle, Noah Smashy Smash, Harriana Hook, and Corrupted Hugh. I genuinely couldn't do this without you guys. If you are interested in supporting my content and future uploads, consider becoming my patron. The link is in my description below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch y'all next time. Bye!